welcome to the show, John. This is John Johnson.
Thank you.
John, meet my partner,
Rob.
Big Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Okay,
Nice
so
to meet you.
Big Rob,
Pleasure.
John Johnson, and Ameen. We're all we're all live here, and what we got is John just recently won the Mr. Buffallo competition this weekend on Saturday, and he contacted me some time ago. We'll get into the details of all that, and asked me to coach him. And I asked to see what he looked like, and I thought, it's going to be hard. But I asked him. I said, can you do the following things? And he says, yeah, I can do that. And I said, all right, we'll make it. We'll do it. And now I'll let you talk a little bit about just exactly why it was that you called me, and what it was you thought was going to happen, and what you felt actually happened, and how you felt it did happen. How's that?
So, well, let's start from like the beginning, from like December, where I was really, really close to being ready for a show, and I was going to contact you and say, let's get ready for something, a little down the line. But then I got an infection in my leg. So
In your leg, sorry?
yeah, in my leg, yeah. And
Okay.
so I had to get surgery, and then I couldn't lift for like 8 weeks. And then I got back into the gym, and then slowly started working my legs, and then got a little bit, closer to where I was, and then I blew my chest.
The pec tear.
So yeah,
You tore your
and
pec.
Yeah.
so then I
Holy
went
fuck.
Get
down.
real quick. Don't gloss over the. Okay, I'm gonna gloss over the infection because you didn't say why you got it. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to ask why you got the infection, but you had an infection. Okay. So let's gloss over that, but let's not gloss over the second fact here. Okay. How did you actually tear your pec?
Just I didn't warm up, and I was bench pressing on the Smith machine, just loading plates, just loading, and something said drop the weight a little bit, and I was like, nah, I did this before, I'm just gonna hit this, and I went down, and then
Oh my
my
God.
pec just went
Fuck.
shifted,
Yeah.
and
Game over.
So what? So
Yeah.
no, but no, I don't know. I listen. I only know because of Levroni and Tony Freeman. I wasn't there for Levroni's. I wasn't there for Tony's either, and they explained it to me the best that they could. But please explain it to everybody, because I've had a slight tear, and it sounded like Velcro. Like I heard the sound, and I don't know. Did you hear the sound too?
No, because I have like house music, techno bumping
Okay,
my
so I didn't have any music on. I heard the sound,
yeah.
and my training partner actually heard the sound too, which was really weird. We were doing triceps skull crushers, and I had 2 partial tears right here, some weird thing I didn't warm up or whatever. But once it happened, now how did you have a spotter behind you? Did the weight go down? I mean,
No, the weight went down. I felt it when I went up, and the weight went down, and I just, with all my might, just put it back on the rack. Luckily, I was on the Smith machine,
so you could,
right.
yeah.
So I was able to just, click it back on. And
Wow.
for like 45 minutes, I just sat there and stretched it out. And
Really, you didn't go to the hospital right away?
no, I didn't go to the hospital. I just stretched it.
That shit
and
didn't swell up. It must have swelled the fuck up like right
yeah,
away.
it was like a balloon, yeah.
Yeah,
But
like real fast. Blood started like
yeah,
melting.
but
Did you
I
see it?
just
Even though you still saw the blood, even though you're that dark, you should have still seen the blood, right?
no, that was the
You're
thing.
you're
I
so
caught,
dark you couldn't see the blood.
I could not see it, and I asked a friend of mine.
Darkness.
I asked a friend of mine, a buddy of mine. Shout out to my best friend Mike Tropiano. I asked him, I think I blew my chest. Should I go to the hospital? And he said, well, do you see blood? Is your skin purple? And I was like, no. He was like, just stretch it. You're good. Stay home, work it out.
And he knows, obviously, he's your friend, so he knows how dark you are, right?
Yeah. And that's what happened.
You know,
I worked it out. I in the heel.
I want to tell Rob this because Rob, I had a training partner when I was younger. I think I met him when I was 17. This guy became my best friend. He was older than me. He was an accountant. I mean, he was an adult. I was a teenager, but he was my best friend. And I don't know either of you guys heard the video that King Kamali did, where he says that he used the term "fuck it, we're going nuclear." That I said about a client who I was going to help after prejudging said he would win, and I did, and it was this guy named Steve Johnson. And Steve Johnson is no relation to John Johnson, but
Right.
but my God, they're both about just as dark as each other. It's like lately I've been getting all the really, really darkest guys. I'm like, cool. So I could tell that, I was telling him, so man, if you don't get the lighting right, I'm not going to be able to see what you look like, because there's something
Right.
about a person who's like super white, light bounces off of them, super dark, light bounces off them too. You get somebody that has that kind of like Patrick Moore type color, and they're pretty much good all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Especially if you're doing it over the phone and you can't see, right? I mean, you want to get a good idea of what John looks like or whatever. So sorry, let's just back up a sec here. So John, so you competed. I seen the pictures. Congrats, you looked really good. Ameen was showing
Thank
me.
you.
So which class, like, what did you weigh in at? Which class did you win, or did you win the overall, or what was the show like?
So I did the men's 40 and over, which
Okay, the
doesn't
Masters.
require, yeah. So
Yeah.
they don't require a weight. So I didn't weigh in. I did want to know my weight. I'm guessing it was around 176 because I put on like another 4 pounds after I started drinking water and eating. So I'm guessing it was around there. And so I was in the men's 40 and over, and it was a great show. It was about 8 guys from all different sizes. I mean, there was this big, huge Russian guy there. I thought he was going to win the show. He was like 6'5", but I beat him. So, it was the thing is though, I didn't get to compete in the overall because I think I would have won it. So I guess
You mean
the Masters,
the open overall, or the Masters overall?
yes,
No, the
yes,
Well, you
open
know
yes,
what?
the
overall.
open
So
This is
overall.
how
let's
I.
clarify this overall. You won the Masters overall.
Yeah.
I won, yeah, but no, but I didn't get to compete in the
Open. I
the
understand.
open overall. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's how they
so
do it here in Canada too. So the way it works is they have like the juniors, then they'll have the weight classes, then they have masters and grandmasters. The weight, I guess you can almost look at it as, let's say, 3 overalls. The juniors is a separate category altogether. Then you have the weight classes. The winner of all those overalls get put together. And then what you
right,
did was you won the overall for the 40 plus for the
right,
masters. So good for you. That's
yeah,
huge. The Buffalo
yeah,
Yeah.
on Mr. Buffalo.
yes.
Yeah, let's talk about like how you looked when you contacted me, and what you thought, like you were going to do Mr. Buffalo. You were pretty determined on it. What was going through your mind when you decided to give me a call to help you with your prep?
Um, I actually just thought that because we briefly you helped me 3 years ago, and you totally changed my physique then. And so when my body was just like broken down and injured, I was like, the only one that's gonna bring me back is this guy, is Ameen. He's because I've worked with George Farah. I've worked with Lee Priest. I've worked with Juan Morel. He's the only one that's ever made me say, "Wow, look at my body." He's the only one that's ever done that. And
Meaning me or Juan Morel? Are
Juan
you still
Morel,
Juan Morel? Yeah.
yeah, I've worked with him too. Yeah, and you're the only one that's ever just made my body change, like made me say, "Okay, I can be a bodybuilder because this he's done this for me." So um uh we took those pictures, and I actually thought I looked good until I saw those pictures.
Right? I
And
know.
yeah,
I
and I
know, man.
sent
I'd be
them
thinking I
to
look good
me, and
too,
I
and I
was
look in the
like,
mirror, and then I take a picture, and I'd be like, man, I thought I looked better than that.
yeah. I sent them, and I was like, oh, it actually made me really upset. And I was like, you know what? No, he's gonna get me back to where I need to be.
You never
And
thought
so
for
I
a second I'd
kept
say no,
pushing.
did you?
Oh no, 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 it was me. I was the one with all the doubt. So,
Yeah.
and then
Ameen
no,
never says no.
no, he does. He was always
I may
just
say
like,
pick another show. I may say pick another show, but I won't say no.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't have 400 clients though.
Yeah, there
right.
you go.
I'm telling you, there's no way. Let's talk about that, by the way. Okay. Um, I don't know what Juan and George charge, but they're both been in the game for a long time. They're both professionals. One could say, that because they're professionals, they should know more than me or something like that. I mean, I could understand that's a valid claim. But I would pretty much be safe to say that I charge more than them. Is that safe to say? Without getting into exactly what I charge, huh?
I was you more than Juan Morel, yeah, because Juan is just, he's not really known. So he has like, little cheap prices here and there. But more than George Farah, no, no.
Did you
Um,
think that what like you got the value that how was it your communication with me during this time? So people know, because I don't want them thinking that I'm some guy that just responds by email. How many
no,
emails did you actually get from me?
not many. We mainly did phone calls and text
You got
messages.
one. I think you got one email from me. I think you
Yep,
got one.
yep. It's just one, yeah. I think, yeah. And
But
then
how many times did we talk in how many weeks was it?
we did, I think we did 14,
I think we did
maybe
14,
longer.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
14 or 15, something like that.
yeah, something like that.
And during that time period, how often would we speak?
We would text maybe 3, 4 times a week, and you would call me every week. And then
And
closer to the show, you would call me, more often. We text, all day, all day, all day, text back, back, back. And he'd call me, check up on me. What's your weight? What you doing? What you eating? And yeah.
it wasn't just, I didn't just text you emojis or anything like that, right?
Yeah. It's
No.
happening.
It's happening. So
It's
so
happening.
listen. So I know that some things I did that I'm hearing that other people don't do. So I kind of wanted to like ask about that, because you work with George, and I respect George a lot. He worked with some people that I've worked with before too. I think we all have respect for each other at the top. I'd like to say I don't know what the other guys do, but I respect that they've got champions, right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And who they are for what they do. I didn't focus on this as much as they did. I kind of took a step back and did some other things, and now I'm here to do this full time. So to see where I measure up with them, because they've been around for a while, and then I'm now coming back and doing this again. And I know that sometimes I would text you, because I remember
Hmm.
specifically I would text you and tell you that you're going to weigh this amount of weight at this time.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah, it will be well, he would say, okay, all right, you're gonna go to the bathroom and you're gonna go this much. Okay, and then you're gonna go a second time, and then you're gonna go this much. And the third time you're not gonna go as much. And then after that, you're gonna weigh that much. And I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, I can't, it's possible. She's like, I don't know. So and exactly
So just to
everything
clarify,
that you
John,
said
we're talking about
happened.
the final week. We're talking about the final week protocol,
Yeah,
diuretics, and Ameen is
yeah,
telling you how much water you're going to lose, when
right.
you're going to go to the bathroom, and how much you're going to go to the bathroom, and in between you're going to go once, twice, 3 times, and then you're looking at your
Yeah,
wife going, "What the fuck is this guy?"
yeah. And I'm like, I know he's okay. He's a scientist, the mad scientist, and everything.
Yeah.
But how does he know how much I'm gonna be? And then, It's crazy because it happened that way exactly.
Mhm.
You know, it was
You
just
didn't cramp one single time.
no, not
And then
once.
I also had told you what you were going to weigh the next morning when you woke up after you ate all that food. And
Right.
you thought maybe you would gain weight because you had eaten so much food. And I was like, no, he's going to lose weight still.
Yeah. Yeah. I lost like another 3 pounds.
Yep.
So yeah, after eating pizza and
Yeah.
that night I sat in bed and ate a bag of chocolate, you know.
Right?
Because I
Bag of
suffered.
chocolate.
Oh man.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
Yeah.
suffered, man. I deserved it.
I mean, he really was at the stage where his body needed that to actually get that last bit to fill out. And I was telling you, Rob, when I do this, they go through 3 stages, right? There's a filling out, then the drying out,
Right.
and so during the drying out, there's the part where you get rid of the water, and then the part where you fill out after you're already dry, where you go for that pop, for the
Mhm.
final look. So what we do initially to fill out is we use rice, okay? And rice spikes the insulin, and it keeps, which allows the food to go in, but it also kind of creates like a vortex a little bit, right? You got to eat a lot of food in order to catch up with it because you just came out of this serious depletion, and the depletion he did was the hell week, the 100 rep drop sets. He did it all the way he was supposed to. As a matter of fact, you started feeling pretty shitty during that time, didn't you? I remember I got a text from you saying that you were feeling pretty bad.
Yeah, I had to go to the hospital
Yeah, let's talk
because
about that real quick.
my blood sugar levels dropped, and I went to the hospital. And I didn't realize that's what was happening until I went to emergency, and emergency was just packed, and I was sitting there, and I started sweating, and I'm like,
Hmm.
wait a minute, I know what this is. And I was like, so let me just go get a couple cookies and some
Uh-huh.
Sprite,
Uh-huh.
and I'll be good. And I drank some Sprite and bit the cookie, and I was
Right
like,
away. Yeah.
fine. I was like, okay, all
Yeah,
right, I'm
you
good.
you
Let's go.
depleted really hard.
Yes,
Mhm.
Not a lot
it
of
was
people do it like that to where they get like that.
it was the toughest thing I've ever went through.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's supposed to be, right? The body
It's
depletion. I
supposed
mean,
to be,
people
yeah.
people are not
yeah,
doing it properly, and that's one thing Ameen is known for. It's not even,
yeah,
everyone calls it peak week. I might refer to it as peak week just so that people understand what I'm talking about. But Ameen really refers to it as hell week, and it really is hell week because it's hell. And if it's not
yes,
hell, you're not doing it properly.
Right.
yes,
And if you do it properly, then you can have sushi, you can have a burger, but as long as you stop the water and you've already done the potassium, like I said, I and John, I'm pretty sure you could attest this, that this is a system, right? I
right,
mean, what I told you was going to happen happened exactly like it was supposed to happen. It was almost eerie. It
yeah,
was it was almost it was almost like, it was like strange, odd, almost like you see a UFO. Like, how is that possible? And the reason that it's possible is because I've been able to isolate all the different variables that can lead to an actual equation, and I can calculate the variables, and I tell you how much you're going to weigh. I can say that 40 milligram Lasix that you took, one,
one tablet.
okay, one tablet, will
Yep,
not make you cramp because we did no salt every 3 hours, a quarter teaspoon, and then you did a fourth one before you did it. Is that correct? I think I'm
that's
exactly
correct.
right. Okay, because
Yeah,
I mean, I know that was your protocol, but I actually do remember every person's protocol that I ever did.
mhm,
It's all here. So let's hope nothing happens to me. but
right,
but with your protocol, I knew that 4 quarter teaspoons of no salt would be enough to keep your muscles full while you lost the water from the Lasix. Okay, I knew you wouldn't
mhm,
cramp from the 40 milligrams of Lasix because of the potassium, but I
right,
also knew exactly how much water it would make you lose, which is that's the hard thing that people would never be able to tell you, because that's why they guess on how many diuretics they're going to take. I
yeah,
don't guess. I looked at him and I knew he only needed one, and it had to be done like this. And then after that, there had to be hours of dry eating and no water, where he would continue to lose water, okay? And the sodium had to be reintroduced where you got full again and everything worked with the pancakes. You love those pancakes, right?
Yes.
He was craving
And it
he
was
was
crazy
craving those
because
pancakes. He was glad as shit he
yeah,
got to eat them.
Pancakes are great. Pancakes, syrup, bit of butter, eggs. It's great. It's a great.
oh
And
man,
I would tell him, I'd be like, okay, so we cut back the sodium, okay, and we cut back the water. This is dangerous, okay, but we compensated, making sure we wouldn't get dehydrated by adding in potassium, which most people don't do. They never hear about this. Oh, they're scared
right,
of adding potassium. You're going to have a heart attack. No, you're not. We're supposed to have 3 to 4 grams of potassium in us. Every single person out there today is deficient in potassium, deficient in magnesium, deficient in chromium, which is why they're all having problems with their blood sugar, okay? Which is why Tony Huge's Slim Pills work so good, because they're chromium. Chromium used to be big back in the day, but it kind of like faded, and he kind of brought it back with his Slim Pills. But I mean, this is really what it's about. And with you, I think one thing that was important was that we started dieting, we started eating carbs in the very beginning, and then there got to be a point where I was like, I had to change it. I saw you were doing good, but being
fast.
the age, yeah, being the age that you are now, that I knew that we had to go about a different route. Like your body had changed. It wasn't like the
Yeah,
same as it was years ago. It had changed. And then once we pulled back on the carbs and had you training fasted in the morning, okay, and that really made a big difference as far as the
yeah,
the overall outcome, everything. And the calculation of the potassium, we also increased sodium while we carb depleted, um, and then we did the depletion, and then he did the carbing up, and it took a while for him to actually carb up. It took a while to the point where I had to decide to stop eating the clean food, because it was working, but it wasn't working good enough. And I knew that with the diuretic we were going to get to a certain degree flat, okay? And I knew that it was going to take a certain number of meals and a certain number of hours in order to get that fullness back. Now here's the mistake that the other coaches make, okay? They don't recognize the time it's going to take after you drop the water to fill back out. That's why most of their clients look better the next day.
yeah,
Unfortunately, they look better the next day for 2 reasons. One is because they didn't get obviously they didn't get the timing right when it comes to the water manipulation part of it. And that's a big part too, because usually with them, they overdo it with the diuretics. They don't look good until they start drinking again, and then they look better the next morning when you normally lose all your water. They look really good because everything's settled, it's all in, it looks great, right? But the thing is, you got to be able to manipulate that so you look like that on stage. And if you don't do it right and you cut back the water too long, or you take another diuretic, which they do the morning of the show, which is a big mistake because they're not thinking that, or they take another one later on the night, Friday night. That's a big mistake too. That'll ruin it. You won't be able to get it back. If you take another diuretic Friday night and the person doesn't need it, they won't be able to get back by Saturday morning unless they
right.
had an IV. If they had an IV, they would be able to get it back, and they won't still. Just so you guys know, we don't make those kind of mistakes, so we don't really need to worry about that. I think anybody, and I'm going to put it out there. We talked about this in the phone, Rob. We talked about this on the phone, John. I think anybody that does a show should take an IV afterward. If
Mhm.
you can, it's really the best. And you shouldn't really wait until the next day. You should really do it before you go out and eat and drink. You should get your body hydrated. You literally should do it like when you get off the stage within the next couple hours, and you should reserve that time to relax, to calm down, to hydrate yourself before you go out with your friends and eat shitty and do all that. It really has to be done the right way. There is not enough
Tell me that.
downtime. People just go right from the adrenaline right into the eating out, and they don't think about the high amounts of sodium that are really going to negatively impact the kidneys when they're dehydrated still. See, that's the problem. And this is why we're getting long-term kidney damage, is that you're seeing people that are going out after the shows, they're eating what they want, which is, I mean, how are you going to not do that, right? And they're
Right.
not even realizing that at that moment, when you've been dehydrated and you haven't had water and you've taken diuretics for that long amount of time, when you eat that salt, that's going to scar your kidneys, and that is going to give you long-term kidney damage. Eventually, you're going to suffer from it. And that's why people are suffering from kidney damage in bodybuilding. And that's why, we keep losing more and more people. More and more people have kidney problems. And it doesn't necessarily happen right away. But what happens is scarring happens right away. Okay. The kidneys are like sponges that flex. They flex like this. Okay. They flex like this, both of them. And as they flex like that, they pull water out of your body. And the water goes through these tubes and it filters everything out. And these tubes are they're what are they like? They're like hair branches with branches off of them. Okay. And stuff gets filtered out and so forth. Now what happens as these tubes, when the kidney flexes, the tube itself, it kind of goes like this, like a vein does. You see blood go through a vein, it goes like that, right? So this does the same thing. And what ends up happening is that when it doesn't have any water, it keeps flexing, but there's no water going through it. So little by little by little, it starts to almost touch one side to the other. When that happens, it starts to rub and it starts to scar. Okay? That's how the scarring actually happens. Okay, it's just like if I go like this long enough, I'm going to scar. Well, the kidneys are so soft that maybe a few hundred of these times gives it a small scarring. A few hundred more, it's permanent scarring. Now you add the salt in there, and there's no water, and then it's flexing harder. Now you're getting real kidney damage. So how do you avoid that? After the show, before you eat anything bad, you get the IV. You get hydration back in your body. Your kidneys release. It feels so good. If anybody's ever been dehydrated, you guys, you know what I'm talking about. It feels so good when you take an IV bag and you're dehydrated. Literally, your lower back is all tight and everything's all tight. Your glutes are tight. And you take it, you feel so good. You know what I mean? And it's the perfect thing to do right after you step off stage, because then the sodium that you eat doesn't affect you in a negative way. And because your kidneys are already able to start putting liquid through them, you don't actually have as bad of a rebound in a negative way. You don't get edema. See, the edema happens because the kidneys were suffering, and then all of a sudden you put water in, it doesn't know, it can't actually process it. So it just goes through and under your skin, and that's how you get edema. But people don't understand this, so they don't know how to take diuretics. And what ends up happening is that the kidneys end up getting scarred. They don't know how to hydrate themselves, and then as a result, they end up taking too many diuretics, usually, and getting flat, because they can't see that it takes a certain amount of time to fill back out. So what I knew was that I was calculating with him how much water he was losing every night.
Right.
So he would weigh himself at night, weigh himself in the morning, weigh himself at night. So I knew that his natural body's losing water, his natural kidneys processing and losing water was X amount. And it was pretty consistent. I mean, it was pretty consistent that it was the same amount, over and over again. So I knew that if he lost a certain amount of water with the Lasix, which I knew he would do, because he checked and I was right about how much he urinated, how much the flow was, how the flow would be, and what that would add up to as far as weight loss would be in a certain amount of time. So then I knew that anything more than that would also have to include the weight that he would lose overnight naturally. And when I included that weight, I knew that it would be too much to even take another diuretic. And I knew that it not only would it be too much, but we also had room to eat 2 or 3 more meals that we did. I think 3 more meals, because you had another pancake, you had another burger and fries, and you had chocolate too. So that's 3 more times that he ate than we were actually thinking about. And this is where you have to know, before the Lasix, and he was never in a position of cramping ever. But there was room for more food to make him fill out. As long as he didn't drink water, he wouldn't spill. He looked better and better and better, and those hamstrings really came out.
Yeah. When we first got together, you were worried about those, like you got to work on your hands. So
they came out. So I just want everyone to hear this. Let's back up to your carb load, because you said something there So there's two things you said. So you started off, you carved up with rice. Now I'm going to assume your last workout was Wednesday morning. If you couldn't do Wednesday morning, it was sometime Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did that. Afterwards, you carved up with white rice. Okay. Now, did you switch him to doing dry carbs with the potato, sweet potato, baked potatoes, and then you said you mentioned that you switched over. You had to do some dirty carb loading. When did you do that? Like before Saturday morning?
No, it was Friday night.
Friday night. So what did you have Friday night?
Right. So Friday during the day, I had him potassium load.
And was this with the no salt?
With the no salt. Did we start late Thursday night or early Friday morning? When did we start?
We started
Thursday night.
Started carb loading Thursday after my last workout.
The potassium. When did we start that? Thursday.
We started that, I believe, Friday.
Friday morning, yeah. And we hit it quick. We did it like every 3 hours, and then after 10 hours, we hit the Lasix, right?
Yep.
And then it was probably about 4 or 5 hours after that you ate the food. It was 5 hours after that you had the first burger and fries.
Yeah, because you wanted me to have the clean meal first,
right?
And then the burger and fries.
And then the burger and fries.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went further. I was like, get another one and get 2 stacks of pancakes and then we had all the ammo we needed to fill out. It was just a matter of making sure that he was full and that the sugar kind of gave him the syrup, did a really good job of bringing the vascularity out. The pancakes did a great job. And it was light. It didn't take a lot of, it didn't cause gas or any distension or anything. It digested really well. I think he kept your midsection really flat and nice and small. We didn't really need a lot of protein on the day of the show at all. Hardly any.
No, we just used a tiny bit of tuna with the rice and and everything else was just carbs.
Yeah. And I had you do I had you do the oatmeal in the microwave, the oatmeal cookie in the microwave, or just the potatoes, the 2 different types of potatoes?
No, we didn't do that. We just did we stayed really hardcore. We just did the tiny bit of tuna and rice, and you had me put that in the microwave, but I didn't. I didn't get any oatmeal. I would have loved some oatmeal.
The Lasix was good enough.
Yeah. And so, guys, this is for people watching. There is no just one specific way of doing a protocol, because typically when my clients might take a product like Lasix, usually they might take 20 milligrams. They might do it twice within that day. But when Ameen's evaluating his client here, John, he knows everything about his body as he's getting into this competition, and he goes, Ameen, he had him potassium loading. He had him take 140 milligram Lasix tab. Okay. 1 tablet, and that was enough for the whole dehydration process in terms of diuretics.
Yep. And it was done the day before the show, way early enough that if there was any problem, I could have added water back in. I could have fixed it. I mean, literally, that's how I do it. I do it early enough that if there's an issue, we could literally add in water before midnight and it won't spill over. It'll still be early enough. It'll be fine. He'll be good, So if there was any cramping, you never know. You never know what can happen. I always leave that room as a cushion for me, as precautionary, safety. I never push it to the point where it's dangerous unless, and I'll admit this, unless I'm actually there. If I'm actually there, and I've only done this for like a few people in my life, my brother being one of them, Kamali being one of them, Steve Johnson being one of them, you know what I mean? There's a few people, Craig Titus being one of them, there's been a few people, Don Long, so these guys, and Tony Freeman, but when I'm there, what I'll do is I don't have to rely on pictures or anything like that. I can see them, and then you can push the part where they don't drink water longer, and you can see how much more you can push someone safely in that little cushion. You can kind of be like, okay, this precautionary thing, how much of this I'm here, so I know I'm safe. So he's flexing every hour. I know if he cramps, so right there, that can eliminate like over half of this precautionary measure. You know what I mean? And then by being able to see them physically, like just, let me see what you look like. Let me see your forearm. I could tell a lot just by looking at someone's wrist, believe it or not. And you know what? This is true. And I want to say this. Ray Charles, you know who Ray Charles is, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Ray Charles. Ray Charles used to shake girls' hands, and he used to feel their wrist. And he could tell from feeling a girl's wrist how fat she was. He's blind, but he knew if the girl was fat just from touching her wrist. He didn't have to feel her nowhere. Yeah. He just had to shake her hand and touch her wrist,
Give me a
so
second.
you're pretty much like Ray fucking Charles, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly, it's it. I can see it. He can feel it. I can see it. Right. I can look at the wrist and I can be like, okay. Yeah. Hey, John, while you're there, hit him most muscular, man. You look great.
Hit a pose there.
Jeez, holy shit! Look at you, man.
Holy smokes.
Good God.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Man. And so our plan now is I mean, what are you weighing right now? You said 283 about?
I wish I was 283.
I'm sorry, 183. 183. My bad.
Yeah.
183.
Yeah, I'm 183
I thought I was
right
talking
now.
to Bundy. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm 183 right now.
183. Okay. Good.
Yeah. You look great, John. You look great. Yeah. And he was in the plus 40 category. I mean, that's really good.
Yeah, John, how old are you? Tell everybody.
41.
41. Right now, looking at this picture with what you got on your head, the way you look like a really tan Sergio. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like the myth all tanned up after he got back from the beach, right? And the plan now is we're going to do the Masters Nationals, right?
Right.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Actually, next year, right?
Next year. No, not next week.
Yeah.
Next year. And we're gonna try to. I mean, I don't think the Masters Nationals is going to be Wade, but assuming he was 176, which based on my calculations, we talked about it. I think he was 176. My goal would have him be. I know this is going to be hard, but have him actually gain 10 pounds of muscle this year, and then have him come right back down to 176 again. And when I say that, I mean, look, you've seen Flex Lewis, right? Flex Lewis would get bigger every year. I mean, he was bigger every year in the offseason, looked crazy hard, right? But he still had to make that weight to be 212. Mm-hmm. And there's something that happens when you have to suck it down like that. And if you can suck it down really good, then whenever you eat, you're just going to look better and better and better. You know what I mean? And so when we get it down to that point where you can look really good and you can get down to that 176, then the only difference is that would be the lightest you weighed, and we would probably step on stage at about 178, and you'd look nuts. That 2 pounds would be all you need to look crazy,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we got a year plan, and we're gonna work on mainly my lower back. I couldn't train it the way I wanted to because of my injury. So when you train in lower back, you use your legs a lot, and my legs are too weak. So we're going to work on that. That's the main my main flaw. And,
but your legs probably won you the show though. In contrary, right? I mean, your legs were probably the best thing on you, given the fact you couldn't even train them hard. And usually at your age, at anything over kind of like 38, depending on who you are, but around that time, usually you have a problem with your legs. Like they start to go away. But your legs looked really good. Like, and the last, I mean, you're another person, I'm gonna be honest, like if you weren't a hyper responder, and now I'm gonna say that that's based on your genetics, and I'm not gonna get into that discussion that we've all had. That we'll save that for another show. But you agree with me as far as that discussion goes before I say anything, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. Okay, so when I help people that, and we'll just use the term genetically gifted, okay? We're not going to say African American. We're going to say the term genetically gifted, okay? Mm-hmm. But when I help someone, and I just cleared it up so everyone knows, when I help someone who's genetically gifted, and I found this out with Don Long probably first. it was right in 92 after I competed and I won. And it was right after I came up with this formula. He was the first person that did it right after I came up with it. His show was the Junior Nationals. It was not even a month after my show. And I did the whole thing within the whole hell. In the beginning, before he did it, he didn't look as lean as I was before I did mine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was over, oh my God. Like the amount that he changed, and I thought I changed a lot. I mean, seriously, I changed enough to beat everyone I was against, and I was not that guy that was big. I just nailed it that day, right? And so, he changed so much that something let me know that he's different than me, and that's when I realized that it doesn't really matter how much drugs I had, which I think some people like Boston Lloyd and the people that listen to him don't really understand, because I had all the best drugs, I had all the real drugs, and I even shared my stuff with Don. And it wasn't that. It was that I had the best drugs when no one else had them.
Right.
But when I started selling them to everyone else, then I started realizing, and sharing what I was telling you, that they were responding better. And when I actually got to do what I did on someone else that was genetically gifted, I saw how great this program that I invented works for people that are genetically gifted more than it works for everybody, But
Right.
let's say I respond like a bikini competitor, like Bundy responds like a bodybuilder to my program, But I'm glad I figured it out being genetically inferior, because if I figured it out being genetically gifted, then I wouldn't be able to help anyone inferior. But I figured it out as someone inferior, and it works great for someone who's gifted. And because of that, I've kind of got A to Z when it comes to this. I can actually help women with this. I can help men with this, different weight classes, different categories. And I do think that there is a science behind pre-contest, peak week, hell week. I do not think that you can carb up. It doesn't matter how many, not even for one day, if you don't actually deplete. There is no, you don't even need to, if you don't want to carb deplete severely, if you don't want to do, you don't have to. Just go into the show pretty much low carbs. I tell everybody out there, you don't have to do anything extreme if you don't want to. But number one, you're not going to nail it if you do a week of diuretics. That will not work. It will not work. Okay. What you have to do is just stay low carb. And then when you think that you need enough carbs to fill out, and that's different based on everyone's metabolism and actually how much muscle needs to be filled out. Okay. But if you're a big woman or a small man, it could be different. But when you figure that out, you stop drinking your water, you start taking a little potassium, and you start eating your potatoes. And then by the time the next day rolls around, you've nailed it, and you didn't really need to do any carb depletion, and you didn't do any carb loading. You did a dry carb up for a few hours, and that worked great. And that's all you need to do. I want people to understand there are different ways of doing it. Not everyone has to do this hell week, but with John, he was behind from day one, and I didn't want to sacrifice any muscle. I didn't want him to do anything that was low calorie or too much cardio or anything too stupid, because we needed to look good for the show or he wouldn't be big enough, right? So I knew that it would all depend on the end. And if he wanted it bad enough, those high reps that he did would be burning fat because there was no source of fuel from glycogen. And it would become not only a carb depletion, but it would become a high fat burning, 3.5 days of very intense fat burning, which is what happened. And it literally brought your glutes from not a line in them to having lines in them. I mean, that's how much it changed him. If you saw him before he did the hell week, he didn't have any lines in his glutes. And then it worked that well that he had a couple deep lines in his glutes. It was really impressive. I was like, wow, and I'm always impressed when I work with someone with good genetics, but didn't really matter how old he was. It came back right away. It didn't really matter, that he hadn't had the injuries, hadn't been training hard. All these things that would have made a big difference in anybody else's prep didn't really matter for him, because we were very good crossing our T's and dotting our I's. Yeah. Right on.
Good. So we're going to wrap this up here, guys. Is there any last comments you guys have about your prep there, John? Anything you want to get out there?
I just wanted to make sure people know that you have to listen to your coach, and even if you had a cookie or you're not getting enough sleep, you know you're supposed to be drinking your water, you're not drinking your water, tell your coach, especially if you're working with someone like Ameen, because he can, say, okay, you're not drinking water. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to wait and then give you water afterwards. And okay, so you're not getting sleep. Don't worry about it, because you'll sleep right after you do this. And, it just, as long as you tell your coach, you tell Ameen everything, and the look that you want, you'll get. He gave me a look that I thought I would never, ever achieve in my life. I've always had, I would get down to my weight so low, and I would still have back fat, and I would have no hamstrings. And Ameen changed my whole entire body, and I just want to thank him. It's I'm overwhelmed with joy.
Yeah.
Because of him, and just want to thank him.
Well, congrats again on your show there, John. I mean, I'm going to post
you.
pictures for everyone to take a look here. And if they want to take a look at your Instagram, do you have Instagram, social media?
I just have Instagram right now, Johnson Jr. 23. I don't post as much as I should, but
we'll leave it in the description.
Check me out.
Yeah,
What's
we'll
that?
put it in the description.
We'll put it in the description. Yeah.
And if you guys want to take a look at Ameen, his Instagram is guru_Ameen. It'll be in the description. Mine is I am BigRob. So you guys can check us out at teamprepstars.com as well.
Right.
Excellent.
Good.
So we'll look
Thanks
forward
to
talking to you again next year after you get your pro card. That'll be the goal.
Sir.
We'll have another interview, okay?
Yes.
All right, John. Thanks for taking your time to do this. We'll talk to you soon, brother. Take care.
All right.
All right. Bye.